Those other two haven't come down here?
No. From that side, no. That's my daughter in the park. Must be still somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to move back a little because we're in the way of them for the big male. I also don't really want to stand in the way, sort of between the dam. So it's try this way. Okay, so it's time for cats to wake up, and it's time for some little action. I think they might still be a little bit full to be sort of interested in hunting. Having said that, if the opportunity arose, there's no doubt that they would actually try and do something. If they had a good chance of killing something, I think they would go for it. I think that buffalo's lucky that he left when he did. Hello, pussycat. Hello, pussycat. You want to eat Andrew? I won't let you. You want to drink water? Time for a drink. I think maybe somebody else might follow her. Might be an idea for us to just go and watch her drink. There's two of them going to drink. Maybe the male will follow them too. Sorry, I'm making a noise, digging for something. Let's follow those two and we'll watch them drink some water at the dam. It'll be a lovely sight to see. They'll lie on the sunset. Could be that having made that move, others might follow. It looks like we are a couple more waking up. You see a male looking this way. Deborah. Deborah's asking, since we just drove through the area where there was elephant in must, would that scent stick to our clothing and be picked up by the lion? I think what might happen is, since during must and elephant dribbles from his penis, I think the most likely scenario would be that the smell of his urine dribbles would maybe adhere to the tires, but I don't think it would make any difference to them. Quite honestly, I don't think it would have any bearing on them. Certainly not in the same way that if we happen to just inadvertently drive over some lion dung and it would put the Land Rover in a bad light for some of the herbivores for a few days until we were rid of the smell. She's watching something. Like they've split up a little bit. They might be watching something. Doesn't seem to be anything there we came past. Don't know. Her posture is really low. Keeping an eye on something. Maybe it's the baboons in the background. She's reluctant to maybe be seen. The lioness is down here in the spillway, making her way to the water. Not really bothering about what might see her or what might not. She just wants to drink water.
Looks like the male's on the way also.
The male's also coming.
Yeah.
So we got to try and find ourselves a little spot that's going to... the baboons are starting to react. To go past, and then we'll try and go past her. Maybe we'll just try and come down. Oh, sorry girl, sorry. What that is behind her is the light for the camera when the camera's on. Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll just stop down here. From the beach. None of the adults are calling it. There's still just some words being shouted across the dam from the youngsters. Don't go that way, girl. Run it please in front of us, not behind us. Come this side. Come to this side, please. Ooh, this way. Well, I'll just go backwards. Let me go backwards a little bit. Give them a bit of space to drink. A lot of the pride coming down now to drink. This is one of the big females. Is she coming right behind us?
Yeah.
Hello, Kay. Kay's in Northridge wanting to know if we can get a strong smell of lion when they're not in a kill. Yes, sometimes, Kay. Today with the heat and the wind, not easy to pick up the scent of lion, but sometimes, yes, it is possible. You can actually smell, especially when it's raining, you can smell their wet coats. They're a little hesitant to come down to the dam. I guess partly the baboon and partly a few other things. Sandy in Florida, would the lion hunt the baboons? Not really. They're too much energy. The baboon's just going to go into trees. They're not going to. I'm going to try and put back a little bit more and hope this one's not going to jump off from this little promontory onto you. It's only a youngster. But they're a little bit nervous for whatever reason. Probably just because of the way they, I guess, crocodiles, hippos and things, they're coming to the water and sort of hissing and a little bit apprehensive about coming down to the water, but they'll make it eventually. We're not in their way. I have seen lion hunt baboon, and it's been very unusual, or rather it's very, very seldom that it happens. But I have seen lion hunting baboon, and what it is they get them into a marula tree, where that's an isolated marula tree, and they intimidate them so much from the base of the tree that the baboon are forced to sort of take flying leaps out of the tree, and almost in cartoon fashion. Oh, there's a monitor lizard. She just frightened a monitor lizard that is now swimming. Took off like a crocodile. Gave her a fright. It's almost like a cartoon where they're sort of running in mid-air, so that by the time they hit the ground their feet are already moving. And I actually have seen lion catching baboon in that matter, and leopard doing the same with vervet monkeys, but they're not a usual prey item. And let's face it, the trooper baboon are way over on the other side. By the time the lion get anywhere nearer to them, they'll be the top of trees. Lion are not great for hunting baboons in trees or anything, so it's just a natural reaction to snarl and sort of grimace at the water. It's just something that they're aware that there could be crocodiles. They're aware that because there are dams in the area that obviously do, and hello, Bobby G. Bobby G's in Connecticut, wanting to know if that young male is an offspring of one of the Matimbas. I'm guessing probably he is, because he's tolerated by them. Whether he is or not, we would only be able to tell through genetic profiling. And here's this one with the big lump on her arm. I said goiter, not knowing that actually goiter refers to only something that happens in the throat. I thought anything with a lump was a goiter, but no, it's not, obviously, since I googled it. But yeah, she's got a big lump on her elbow, much like I've got a big lump on mine. I'll show you my lump on my elbow too one day. I don't know, it could be a number of things. I did get some information that it might be a result of TB. But anyways, it is easy enough to do some DNA profiling from the dung of individuals, and if you could see them defecating, you could maybe take a sample of dung and do a DNA profile if you had the sort of financial and scientific wherewithal to do that. But it would obviously would be very interesting to find out the genetic connection between them. And it would be interesting to know. I mean, can you imagine if we found out through genetic profiling that he actually isn't offspring of them, but they think he is, and that's why they tolerate him? That would be interesting. But for whatever reason, we can't really know these things. 246, we're missing a couple of cats. Hopefully they're going to come and join us. The light off to the left, by the way, I mean, we're sitting almost right in front of where the camera would be. If Juma Waterhole cam was here, you'd be looking at their backs, because it's right behind them that the tree is. There's the tree now. But there, right over there is the tree for the camera. That's the light that gives you good vision at night. And it'll be interesting to find out which way they're going to go after here, because it looks like this is it. They're going to be drinking. Whether they head back up to quarantine to go and catch another wildebeest or zebra or something. Three, 4, 5, 6. 4 cats missing. Hello, Ellen. Would a male lion prefer to mate with a younger female that hasn't mated before, or an older female? Actually, there isn't a preference, Ellen. It's got nothing to do with the preference of the older males, the big males. It's got to do with which lioness is in estrus and which lioness is ready to have cubs. And yes, sometimes you have young cubs, or rather sub-adult or young females that are coming into estrus for the first time. And they might be mated with the dominant male. The problem with that scenario is that he might even be her father. And what is likely to happen because of the tenureship of a male over a territory is that if he does hold the territory long enough that he's going to mate with a young female, and that young female is likely to be his daughter, that those offspring are going to be highly vulnerable to predation by any other males coming in to the territory, because it is likely that the only reason why she managed to fall pregnant in the first place was because the resident male managed to hold on to his territory a little bit longer than expected. And so it stands to reason that if those offspring are killed, they would have been inbred offspring anyway. So if you had a group of females within a pride that are of different ages and they were all of childbearing age and new males came in, it wouldn't be a case of which one they would prefer to mate with as much as it would be a case of they would mate with the ones that are in estrus that needed to be mated with first. And I don't think, since it is driven by pheromones and hormones and things, I don't think that we would be able to draw an analogy with us human beings where some older men would prefer some younger models to some of the later models, if you don't mind me saying it that way. It seems, I know, so yeah, no, I won't even go that far. Let's not talk about it. But it's all about raising cubs, it's all about passing on the genes, and it doesn't really matter how old the cats are. There's one of the rooms, room number 1 actually, of Waterhole. If you could imagine being a guest here at Waterhole. Of course you'd be out on drive now, but sometimes it's nicer to just sit on your balcony or sit on your deck and watch life go by. And if you were sitting on that deck right now, you would see a pride of lion on the edge of the dam. anything splashes in the water, they look at it and hiss at it. It could be terrapins or fish. Okay, is it safe enough for buffalo to get deep enough out of the way? Yeah, it is. I mean, if that buffalo was here, all he'd have to do was cross the dam and they'd have to go all the way around. They wouldn't follow him through the water. So it's, yeah, no, depending, it wouldn't have to be deep enough. It wouldn't even have to be that deep at all. But it's difficult to predict something like that, okay? Because any number of things could happen. It's not an easy thing to try and speculate. Looks like they're heading back up to the lodge, which means they might be heading back up to quarantine. The baboons have all headed into the lodge. They all seem to be heading up to FC and the masts. I'm wondering if some of them aren't the old Gary gang that have joined up with a new gang and they just know where the sleeping trees are here. But time to follow them. Last few minutes to drive. Sorry, Andrew. Go a little bit of a start there. They're all heading up towards the lodge. Let's see if we can keep up with them. Know how old or what age the young females are able to breed. I think Diane, there we go, lion at the ground, lion, baboon in the tree, lion on the ground. Exact circumstance I was talking about. If they intimidate those baboon enough, well, they're going to likely climb as high into the tree as possible, which they are doing. The old camera tree, actually. This is the old camera tree. We used to have a camera on this tree. Got the baboon up there. But I don't think they're going to bother, and I don't think the cats are going to bother much. From about 3.5, maybe 4 years old, I'd say, Diane. Might also be nice to get out onto quarantine and see if we can find that other mating couple that might have come out into the open now. Well, she's doing it. She's intimidated these baboon enough that they're jumping into the apple leaf and they're actually going to try and gap it. Watch this, watch this, watch this. On the ground, and it's running away, and she's after it. And the other one's going to, oh, there. You see, this is how a lion can single out. They have now singled out one baboon in this apple leaf. She chased it. That's a sub-adult too. She half-heartedly chased that one away. So now this other one has come out of the tall tree into a low tree. I don't think it's going to be able to get back into the taller tree because it managed to jump from this knobthorn, or this black monkey thorn rather, into the apple leaf. Or is it a marula? It's a marula. I think she's just playing. She's just messing with him. But now she's lying under the tree, and this baboon is going to go nuts because it's on its own now. It's a youngster. It's trying to climb as high up into those branches as it can, and shaking the tree, shaking branches, trying to intimidate the lioness as best it can. It better not climb onto a thin branch and fall, because she will get it. So normally there is a likelihood that the whole troop could gang up on them. If it wasn't so dark, we might even have that scenario where the troop is starting to come to the aid of this one that is caught, but it's a little bit too dark. Baboon are a little bit afraid of the dark, and they normally have to be in their sleeping trees by now. But interesting scenario. She's watching it, the tail's switching. She's definitely psyching it out. Problem with baboon is that they can't sit still, and if it could, it would probably be safe. But it's probably getting more and more nervous now because it's getting dark, and I think it's going to be intimidated into spending the night in that tree on its own. The rest of the pride are all lying down. They're just sort of enjoying the evening, having just had their drink. Good night, hardy daws. Hello, Sandra. Sandra's saying, can't blame the baboon for being afraid of the dark. She would too. Yeah, especially tonight, new moon. And it's going to be quite dark. It's lovely clear skies, but at least we're going to get starlight. And there's not going to be a moon. Tomorrow maybe we'll be lucky enough to see the first crescent of the new moon. Comes the big male. Let's just watch. I'm going to turn a little bit so that we can see him arriving too. He's about to come onto the scene. I don't know if we'll miss anything here. I don't think so. Can't miss this. Come along, Mr. Lion. He definitely didn't have any of that wildebeest yesterday. Sure, he wouldn't mind a piece of baboon if he could get one, but I think he'd rather have some more buffalo. This is a magnificent lion. Not a youngster. He's like the equivalent of that big Ellie that we saw. He's a man in his prime, and he's seen a few things, and he's a lion. Hello, Chris. Will the baboon stay awake all night in fear? Will the lion get bored and move on? There's only one way to answer that, Chris, and that would be to be here all night to see. My guess is that yes, it's possible that the baboon are going to be nervous until they see the back of these lion, and although it's only going to be starlight, I'm sure they're going to be able to tell when the lion have moved on. And yes, I think to a large extent the lion are likely to just move on eventually anyway. Got better things to do than torment baboon. Okay, well, now that he's sleeping, I want to go back to the scenario because we'll get him. I mean, he is magnificent, isn't he? He is really a wonderful lion. But it's really hard, Chris, to tell what they're going to do. I mean, these are thinking beings. They have their own minds what they want to do. I see that lioness has already moved on. The one that was underneath the tree just while we were turned around. They're all sort of facing the way. Some of them are flat again, some of them are sleeping again, like the big male. Let's just take a big loop around this tree. I don't want to go so close, because if I do get too close to the tree, that baboon might get spooked by my presence, let alone the lion presence. Bring ourselves around here, and maybe we can see from a different angle without that lovely sunset glow, but we're just going to have more light behind us, might give us a better view of things. Back down to the rest of the crowd. Maybe she got bored. Adam wants to know if there's a reason for the tuft of hair in the back of the forelegs. Gee, Adam, never thought about that. Nightjar's flying already. We don't need the light just yet. Maybe not. Hello, Linda. Glad to hear that Dallas is hot and hot again. Linda's in Dallas. Wanting to know if there is some notification going out to the guests. No, not here, Linda. I know that there are lodges in other parts of Africa where you can get a notification. They'll phone you 2 o'clock in the morning. They're a lion at the dam or something. That doesn't happen here. At the moment, all the guests are out. When there are guests here at the moment, this time of day, they're all out on drive. And they're going to know about the lion being here anyway, because, well, everybody knows that the lion are here. So they don't really need to send a notification. But maybe you're referring to times when there are no drives, but no, it doesn't happen here. I don't think there's anyone that monitors the camera or the feed or anything. I guess it's something that they could implement. It's something I could talk to Candace about, that if somebody was monitoring the camera, that if they had guests here in the afternoon. The thing is, with these rooms, all these rooms face the dam, so if you're in your room, you're going to see what's there, and if you're not in your room and you're in the lodge, then, or rather, if you're not in your room and you're on drive, then you'll know about it because your guide will tell you. Because you'll go out and see it on the game drive. But I know there are some places in Africa, some very fancy lodges, where you can request, almost like you can request from the concierge or from the reception, you can request a wake-up call. If you want to leave early in the morning from a hotel here, in some lodges you can request to be told, I think it's up in Kenya, you can request information about what might be around. Okay, so a lot of these cats are just grooming and things. Maybe we need to... Oh, maybe it... Do you think the baboon's still in the tree?
I don't think so.
I wonder if maybe it didn't jump out and she chased it and that's why she's not here anymore. This is the old waterhole. We're going into the bottom. This is the old Juma waterhole that we're going into now. Used to be all these rocks on the edges. And this is where elephant used to come and play and lion used to drink. I think when we were turned around looking at that male, I think something happened. That youngster managed to escape, or the lioness got bored. Got enough light? Looks like it. Can try. So in some ways very much like last night when we left these cats, not knowing what we were going to find in the morning. We're in the same situation again today. Don't know what's going to transpire during the night. If they go back up to quarantine, they're going to find themselves another animal, or they can, that's for sure. Whether they do or not is another matter. But we will only know in the morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think there's 7 here. I think there's still one that might have been... Yeah, I think when we turned around to watch that big male coming down the road, I think that's when that things changed for that little baboon and it managed to get out of the tree. We certainly would have heard it if the lion caught it, that's for sure, and we would have had a pandemonium breaking out here, not only with the baboons, but with the lion all piling in, wanting to get their own little bite. Quarantine on the way back, pick up Brian, was going to go see if we can see the other two the mating pair, maybe just to get an idea of where they are to start with in the morning. Generally when they're mating, they don't move very far, so there's a good chance that having had that kill, they might still be here for a while. We will go and have a look at that. And other than that, well, we're gonna be looking at lion tracks tomorrow morning. There are certainly a lot of lion tracks on Waterhole Access Road, and hopefully we'll be able to see which ones are fresh if they go back up that way. But it's all going to wait till tomorrow, so you're all going to have to wait till tomorrow. And from me, Mark, and Andrew back behind the camera, Brian in final control, all of us here at WildEarth, thank you for joining me. Thank you for the questions. I'm sorry if I didn't get to some of them, or if I didn't get to them correctly. Well, tomorrow's another day. Love you lots. Take care. Goodbye. And hope you've enjoyed your day with us here at WildEarth and Djuma Game Reserve. Look at that. They're playing. Do we have to go now? I can smell.
The big man.
I just couldn't. I didn't want to go too quickly. I had to come back to you. I know some of you might have switched off, but well, the weirdest thing is that I suddenly got the strong whiff of lion, and it was because he was virtually behind me. Oh, sorry, Andrew doesn't know where to look. I don't know where to look, but yes, he's just here. He was coming closer. He sat down when I turned around and looked at him. But they are also, they've been waking up and playing a little bit. I think there's enough light that I don't need the spotlight on them. And then suddenly they all sort of got up and looked in one direction, but then they settled down again. I just would love to stay with them all night. I just would, until the batteries ran out, until I got so hungry. And yeah, beer sounds nice, and a burger or something sounds delicious, but this is more fun. This is just amazing. Amazing. That light's turned in the wrong direction. Fix it another time. Okay, I guess not much happening. We better get back. We're also in front of the lodge, and the guests are all getting back to the lodge, so we, as much as I would love to stay here, we really can't, because it's getting into sort of time when the guests are going to need their privacy. That's why they booked the lodge. They don't want to see a camera vehicle in front of the lodge. But wonderful to have a few extra minutes. Good night, everybody. Love you lots. See you tomorrow. Bye.